Applause, music, oh my goodness. This movie just can't be stopped. Seriously, if you told anybody at the start of the year that the biggest movie of 2025, culturally, socially, globally, would be a Netflix animated film about demon hunting K-pop stars, people would have laughed in your face. But hey, who's laughing now? After smashing records and turning into a full-blown phenomenon, it's almost impossible to imagine a world where we don't get a sequel. And if the rumors are true, the conversation might already be happening behind the scenes. So with that in mind, where the heck do we go next? From world tours to family reveals to character comebacks, today we're breaking down exactly that. These are my 5 pitches for K-pop Demon Hunters 2. Music. Alright, let's start with the most obvious sequel idea, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because there is one mystery practically begging to be unpacked in K-pop Demon Hunters 2. Roomie's parents. Now, we know the basics. Roomie is half human, half demon. Her mom was a former hunter who fought alongside Celine, but that's where the details kind of stop. Everything else is just shrouded in mystery, and that mystery has to take center stage in the sequel. This time, it shouldn't just sit in the background. It should be the story. Room's entire arc could revolve around finally discovering who her parents really were and, by extension, what makes her her. There's an obvious poetic direction here. Her mother didn't just fall in love with a demon. Her father was one. That alone opens up some seriously powerful storytelling potential, especially when you remember Roomie's connection to Ginu. It's almost poetic, almost tragic. And depending on how dark the sequel wants to go, there's a lot of ways to play this. Maybe her father wasn't just a demon. Maybe he was Gimar's second in command, a warrior who betrayed his master and was imprisoned in the demon realm. And hey, maybe he's still down there, desperate to escape. Actually, we already kind of teased something a little bit like this on the channel. Remember that concept trailer we made where Roomie's demon father returns, freed from imprisonment after the collapse of the Hormone barrier? That story practically writes itself. He returns vengeful, but not evil for evil's sake. He genuinely believes the hunters are trapped in a doomed cycle. His plan: merge with their power, unify humans and demons and create something new, something unstoppable. It's that perfect emotional gray zone. Roomie will be torn between her mother's legacy and her father's vision. Legacy versus temptation. And beyond that, there are so many different other directions to explore. Maybe both of her parents sacrificed their freedom to save her, trapped behind a barrier so she could live a normal, free life. Hey, maybe even her father was once the guardian of the Han Moon himself. Whatever the truth ends up being, this storyline gives her what she's always needed, something deeply human to fight for. And as far as setting up the sequel's emotional core, this is your spine right here. But if Roomie does start uncovering the truth about her parents, surely that journey can't stay confined to one city, right? No, it's only natural that the next step is the girls, the band, the hunters, all of them taking their mission worldwide. And that's why I'm hoping for a world tour. So, the opening of K-pop Demon Hunters shows Hunrix performing the final show of their world tour, right? But here's the thing. We never actually find out how long that tour lasted or where they went, which continents they hit, which countries were blessed or cursed with a live demon hunting performance. And that's exactly why a sequel could run wild with this idea. At the end of the movie, there's a quick blink, and you'll miss it shot of a billboard tease in the group's next comeback. In K-pop terms, we know exactly what that normally means. New album, new era, and hopefully another world tour. So, here's the pitch. What if the hot moon, that mystical barrier protecting humanity, doesn't just cover Korea? What if it protects the entire world? This would instantly reframe the tour into something way bigger. The girls aren't just performing, they're maintaining balance, strengthening weak spots in the moon and across the planet. Maybe it has gaps that need reinforcing. And after Gimar's defeat, there's now a power vacuum in the demon world, and other entities are starting to rise. So, the trio has to go international, sealing cracks, battling new threats, and even training local artists to harness their own musical power. It's a killer setup. Massive world building, bigger stakes, and total visual variety. Imagine them landing in Los Angeles, neon concerts under the open skies, or heading to Europe and discovering a completely different style of demon hammer. Heavy metal vampire hunters, anyone? Yes, please. And beyond the spectacle, it could also tie beautifully into Zoe's character arc, exploring her roots, reconnecting with her family, or even confronting what home means to her outside of Korea. but I do have some hesitation around this idea. And it's kind of a big one. It's what happens to Korea in all of this. Because the country isn't just a backdrop in K-pop Demon Hunters. It's practically a character. The color, the street, the culture, the language. It gives the movie its identity. Even the cast and crew talked about how meaningful it is for a Korean audience to see themselves and their culture represented in a global animated film. Actually, the amazing Christian Haraf even brought this up in an interview with the cast, and you can see them wrestling with the same issues right here. But I still want to see more of Korea. Sure, I feel like Korea is so beautiful, and there's so much more that could be seen if they really dive in. And I just feel like it was such a nice opening to Korea and introducing people to... I think that's maybe why you go when you're going to more movies to see where the characters could go, is that, yeah, I agree. I think that if I would like to see more of Koreans inside of part 2, but I'd also like to see where they go. Yeah, like a world tour would be pretty sick. For maybe the solution is you could kind of do both. Balance the world tour without losing the cultural heartbeat. Show the girls teasing crappy chain Korean restaurants abroad, slurping noodles with American pop stars and visiting Koreatowns around the world. You could celebrate a global fandom without erasing where it all began. And speaking of things spreading across the world, if Huntress are back on tour, that means a new act could rise to challenge them. So, let's skip the family drama. No demon dads, no international tours. What other direction could K-pop Demon Hunters go? Yeah, I'm talking about how we set up a new antagonist to test our girls. Well, one of the most popular fan ideas out there is simple. Bring in a brand new rival idol group. All girls, full glamour, all baddies, total chaos. And yeah, that works on paper. But personally, I think that setup might risk feeling a little bit too familiar. We already had a group versus group rivalry in the first movie, so doing that again could feel a little bit more like a remix than a proper sequel. So, here's my alternative. I actually think there's a way more interesting route. What if instead of a rival group, we got a rival solo artist? I know it's less common in K-pop, but come on, stay with me. Now that Roomie's come out of the closet as a half-demon and widely accepted for it. She's basically become a cultural icon. The fans love her. The media adores her. The ideas of demons existing in the public eye has gone from scandal to spectacle. And if there's one thing the entertainment industry does best, it's cashing in. So imagine this. A major label executive sees the trend and decides, you know what? Demons are hot right now. We need one of our own. They don't care about the epics. They just want that sweet money. So, they sign a new artist, a full-on demon. Not a half-human like Roomie. Full demon mode. Purple skin, horns, scars, the whole deal. On the surface, she's marketed as this edgy new cooler pop star. But underneath it all, she's manipulating the label, using their platform, their money, and their global reach to her own ends. Her true goal to reshape the Han Moon itself to twist its energy into something darker, something that works for her. And that's where the story gets interesting. Because we wouldn't have a villain that came from ancient lore or prophecy, but from the modern world, from the music industry itself, from the system that turned Roomie into a global brand. It's the perfect collision of fame, power, and corruption. It's completely different from Gimar. This wouldn't be a fight for survival. No. It would be a fight for the soul of pop culture itself. And that direction could lead to somewhere even bigger. Because if we're talking about exploring new angles and stories, it might also be worth asking the question a lot of fans are starting to bring up. Should we even make this a sequel at all? Or should the next chapter be something else entirely? Because this is honestly something that has surprised me. A lot of fans, and I mean a lot, really want the next K-pop Demon Hunters project to be a prequel, not a sequel. And yeah, in theory, I get it. There's potential there. You could explore a younger version of Huntrix, dive into their origins, and maybe even see them as kids discovering their powers for the first time. Or you could even go further back. Tell the story of an early generation of demon hunters, maybe focus on the Sunlight Sisters, maybe actually show what really happened to Roomie's mother before she vanished. All of this sounds kind of appealing, right? But this is where I'm torn. Personally, I really hope they don't go down that route. At least not in the next movie. I want to keep this franchise moving forward. I want to stay with Roomie, Mirror, Zoe, the group that we all fell in love with in the first place. I totally understand the desire for more world building, lore, deeper backstories, but honestly, we can still do all of that inside a sequel through flashbacks, through callback, through stories that move forward rather than rewind. The first film proved how effective that approach can be. It gave us history, but never lost its momentum. That's why if the higher-ups in Netflix are really itching to explore prequels and capitalize on the sudden surge of hype, I would much rather they do that as a short-form series rather than a full proper movie. Imagine that though, 10-minute episodes each following a different demon hunter across history or continents. Heavy metal vampire hunters. You could even change up the animation, go full anime. Make it distinct from the mainline films, that way it feels like bonus lore, not a replacement for the main story. That's exactly how you expand the world without losing what made it feel special. And speaking of keeping things focused on what fans really care about, there's one question that keeps coming up over and over again. Will G return? Yes. I intentionally saved this one for last because I already know I'm about to get roasted in the comments for it. But hey, if you made it this far, I've earned your attention. So, here we go. Like everyone who watched K-pop Demon Hunters, I was crushed when Ginu sacrificed himself to save Roomie. It was emotional, heartfelt, and honestly one of the best endings I've seen in an animated movie in a while. One of the best endings for a character, especially real stakes, real closure. But that hasn't stopped the fandom, has it? Ginu and the Suda Boys are massive fan favorites, and ever since the credits rolled, people have been demanding their return. Here's the thing though, I don't agree. I don't think Gu or the Suda Boys should come back in K-pop Demon Hunters too. But let's focus on Gu. His entire story was about redemption, a selfish, centuries-old spirit who finally learns to care for someone other than himself. That sacrifice, giving his life, his soul. That was the point. It was the moment his story came full circle. Yeah, sure. Part of me wishes he and Roomie did get to share a kiss, but honestly, the way it ended felt right. Bring him back risks undoing that emotion. It would cheapen the ending. But if I did put on my studio executive hat, I could see why they would want him back. G's popularity is off the charts, and I could see Netflix thinking he's too integral to leave out entirely. So, if you absolutely have to bring him back, then make it count. Make it tasteful. Remember, Ginu's soul now lives inside Roomie's soul. That means he's always with her, but not physically. He could return as a spiritual guide, a voice in her head, maybe even appearing in dreamlike moments when she's struggling. Sort of a poetic mirror of how Gimar used to haunt him. Don't resurrect him completely. Keep that sense of loss intact because if he pops up alive and well, it kills the weight of the first movie. That said, I do think they're going to do it. I think the creative team behind the original knows how beloved he is, and I bet good money they'll find a way to weave it back in. So, fingers crossed if that does happen, let it be earned. Let it mean something. Maybe Roomie's journey to restore him becomes the emotional core of the sequel. And maybe, just maybe, that's where we finally get that kiss. And there you have it. 5 directions for the future of the K-pop Demon Hunters franchise. And yes, I want to put a little bit of emphasis on sequel, not prequel. From demon dads to world tours, rival idols, and controversial resurrections, we've covered a lot of ground on where this universe could go next. But now it's your turn. I've got to know, what's your big idea for the next movie? Drop your best picture down below in the comments, and we'll spotlight some of them in a follow-up video. If you're new here and love all things K-pop Demon Hunters, then hit that subscribe button and become a certified slurp head. Thanks again for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one. Music, you're looking at the future, darling. To them, she's a product, but she's not their puppet.